My name is Andrew Bybee. I am with the communications framework team that covers Skype for Business and Teams. I'm joined today by David Newman, who is doing all the really hard work. So we're going to have him spend some time today walking us through some various pieces. In terms of what to get out of today, my hope is that really the main takeaway, we'll spend some time talking about what's available currently. We'll talk about what's coming. Obviously, with the announcements yesterday with regards to how we're bringing Skype for Business capabilities into Teams, that obviously is going to be an interesting topic for conversation, so we're going to try and cover some of that. My hope, though, is that coming out of the session, you're still focused on sort of the same key element here, which is that there's a role for custom communications apps in your business that we think can be transformative, impactful. And so it's about how you can help envision that and visualize that for your organization and your work as you're sort of moving forward, and how we can help you hopefully do that visualization. You've heard Satya talk a lot about digital transformation. We've talked a lot about the role of communications as part of driving that. And it's important to recognize that as we sort of go forward on this developer platform journey, we're continuing to sort of maintain that core theme of how you can connect your service to conversations, how you can actually bring conversations into your app, and then how you can actually start to build intelligence and sort of an awareness in your organization through those interactions directly. So as we think about that, this is really as much of a sort of symbiotic relationship as anything about how you can now start to make sure that it's the right contextual conversation in the right place at the right time, and how those can actually start to then go and drive awareness for you guys as solution builders and people that are deploying these types of solutions going forward. So this sort of frame has really informed a lot of the work that we've been doing in the Skype for Business side, and it will inform a lot of the work that we are going to be doing as it regards to bringing Skype for Business capabilities and communications capabilities into Teams. We've done a lot of work in this space already today. Just as a quick show of hands, how many of you have done any sort of engagement work with Skype for Business development in the last 2 years even? So about maybe a third of you or so. So just a quick sort of recap here for those of you that aren't as familiar with it. There are a number of different platform investments that we've done with Skype for Business. They range from specific client investments through to different ways that you can build those clients across different platforms for Windows, for iOS, for Android. We also have delivered a set of capabilities that are specific to Skype for Business Online and Office 365. And then we continue to have a long-standing asset with our Skype for Business server product and our Unified Communications Managed APIs, or UCMA. And these technologies drive a fairly sort of broad and diverse set of solutions. Advanced voice, thinking about how we can now bring conversations into various applications as an embedded experience. Customer experience, things like contact center and attendee console. And as we move into sort of more adjacent scenarios, things like remote advisor. So how can I start to connect my dispatch or my field service with my HQ, or how can I now start to bring in the patient experience into more of what I'm doing with my clinicians. And then we've obviously spent a lot of time talking about bots and bot framework and intelligence over the last year and a half or so across multiple build sessions. So recognize that these are all areas that you can start to deliver on today with Skype for Business based on the assets that we've built out. Now, as we sort of build these things out, the question then is okay, what do these start to look like inside of your organization? So one of the things that's been interesting for us is as we've been working through this, we've been talking with customers and doing some direct research about what are customers looking for when they think about deploying UC and pulling these things together. What are the type of custom solutions that they're looking to deploy as part of that story? And interestingly enough, there's some very kind of basic things that go into this. So interestingly, about half of the respondents said that they needed something around attendant console. And then you can start to see that the list includes things like contact center and recording, and even down to just some sort of basic pieces around things like queuing and how those pieces come together. So clearly, there's a lot of different solutions that are needed in order to deploy voice successfully into your organization. And so the question becomes, what does the role that sort of Skype for Business plays in that, and how does your development start to position in that? So even basic scenarios like, hey, I just want to answer the phone. I want something to answer the phone for me. can actually be both a client experience where I can think about, hey, I have an IVR, I have an automatic number that's answering the phone for me, but I also have receptionists, and obviously this can be a very culturally sensitive aspect. So in some cultures, it's rude to answer the phone with an automated agent, and so it in fact is desired to have somebody in person that's answering the phone. In other places, it's all about being able to facilitate self-service and allow people to sort of quickly get to what they want. And so you want to be able to blend these two based on both the needs of the business and the geography and the region. And then you also want to be able to sort of move that conversation forward to the actual end result of that. So whether it's getting them to a self-service experience like an IVR, getting them to a direct employee, or even getting them to a sales department or support department. So even a basic flow of just, hey, will Skype for Business answer my phone? Okay, yes, it will answer your phone, but there are actually multiple pieces that you want to be able to put into it as part of that. Now, as another scenario that we think about here, there's another one, which is, hey, I've already got a phone system today. I may be using Skype for Business as maybe my instant messaging and presence service. I've got a contact center solution, and in the process of putting that solution together, it's working against my legacy PBX today. What does it mean for me to put Skype for Business into that model? Well, so one of the key pieces there is to actually start to introduce Skype for Business as your enterprise voice infrastructure, and then to recognize that we have a variety of partners that can actually support both the legacy PBX and Skype as a native stack. And as you do that, you can then now start to also bridge that experience between your PBX and your Skype for Business deployment, which then opens up your opportunity to do things like moving to the cloud. So now I can have agents on-prem, I can have agents in the cloud, and as part of now pushing those agents through, I can now start to actually retire that legacy PBX. So these are examples that we've seen partners deliver today on top of our UCMA framework and on top of our existing support for things like SIP interoperability. And this is also a great story for being able to now connect your Office 365 deployment with your existing voice deployment. Now, in the development model, as you think about that client experience, for example, with the agent, that's another area where we've seen quite a bit of folks doing investment. So today, when you're developing with Skype for Business, this means that I'm building on top of our desktop client SDK, which is allowing you to build Windows apps, but it's largely used as a way to drive and work on top of the existing Skype for Business deployment on the Windows device. And so when you sort of look at the capabilities, this is a fairly mature SDK that we've got here that covers things like UI extensions and et cetera. And this model is obviously a very sort of mid-2000s kind of a model, right? So if I wanted to build an Android client or an iOS client, I wouldn't be able to build that with this client SDK. And so this is something where we've seen this usage is predominant for folks that have investments in Windows, but as people are looking more towards Macs or iOS or sort of thinking about web-based experiences, this model obviously was not sufficient. So as we sort of look forward for that, then we're very interested to then see how our partners are helping to basically deliver this out and start to blend some of these categories. And so we've actually got a wide variety of partners that are in our certified categories that are building these solutions out and able to deliver these things for you as packaged solutions. Now, as a final reference, you can start to see a lot of this information in terms of the latest set of apps on top of the apps catalog that we have on the skypeforbusiness.com. And as we look forward then, the question becomes, okay, so how do you move forward from that cross-platform story? And this is where we've started to deliver assets around our Web SDK and our App SDK, specifically around being able to embed conversations. And so, for example, with partners like Salesforce or partners like Smartsheet, being able to now bring presence and conversations directly into the experience. We also have an ability to now actually bring the external customers into your experience with conversations like Remote Advisor, where I can now start to bring in both video and do all of this through effectively a packaged consumer store app, so iTunes, Google Play, things along those lines. How can I now actually bring that application in directly and do that, combining that with video as well as chat to now start having those direct customer interactions? So we have customers that are doing these types of scenarios today and delivering these, and they're delivering those using the existing assets that we've got around our Web SDK and our App SDK, which enable capabilities around messaging presence, meeting join, audio, video, in a plug-in free model on Edge, and then also supporting other types of platforms with video. So all these assets are available today, and we've seen a number of different partners that are able to actually drive success with these today. So as we're thinking about sort of what can you do right now, these are all example scenarios that you can kind of pull forward. What I wanted to do then real quick is just have David walk us through sort of a quick example around Remote Advisor and sort of just a quick demo of something that you can do right now with Skype for Business, and we'll switch over to that.
Great, thanks Andy. So this is our first demo for today. Hopefully we can project, great. We're going to just do a very quick demo of the Remote Advisor scenario that Andy talked through. This particular app is an iOS application that actually integrates communications for a business-to-consumer scenario directly inside of a banking customer mobile app. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to show how using this platform you can bridge connections directly from custom applications through full audio video directly to an enterprise user who's using Skype for Business. And so here on my mobile app, you see I have a banking app down here for Woodgrove Bank. This is just our fictitious banking app. When I'm using this banking app, I might sign in with my banking credentials, for example, to get access to my account. And of course, this is just our sample, so I'm going to go straight in. You can see this is just a template iOS application showing how I might have my banking balance through here. I've got a nice healthy retirement fund there. I can go through that app. We added in this button for Ask an Agent. What this is showing is how from this consumer mobile application, directly inside the app, we can actually now bridge the connection over to a financial advisor who is using Skype for Business. So on the user side, if I click Ask an Agent, we've got a couple different options here. The SDK allows you to integrate chat conversations as well as full audio video directly within that app. When I click on, let's start a video chat, what we're going to do is actually get connected to an agent over here on this machine who's actually on Skype for Business. And so the audio video is embedded through our iOS SDK directly within this custom banking mobile app. And so you can see here, if I hold this up, we've got my video, and if I stand in front of here on the agent machine over here, I'm just joined into a Skype for Business meeting through the desktop client. And we can see that I can now connect in a full audio video interaction directly with this banking user who's in this mobile app. The value here is, again, the contextual communications, being able to embed this workflow for a customer directly inside of this iOS mobile application. As a banking customer, I did not need to have a Skype account. I did not need a Skype for Business account or any sort of credentials besides what I needed for the bank. It's using our guest user join capability, and we expose that through our SDKs so that it can allow you to bridge these consumer to enterprise scenarios. So that's just one basic example of the Remote Advisor use case. We see a lot of interest around this across different industry types as well as customers. Financial services is obviously a big area, as well as healthcare for telehealth consults, manufacturing, oil and gas for remote technician scenarios. So lots of different use cases that you can enable today, both for Skype for Business server customers as well as customers in the cloud. So that's an important distinction. So in financial services, for example, we see a lot of our customers in that space that are still maintaining their Skype for Business server product and plan to upgrade their server product with our next release at the end of next calendar year. These types of solutions can be enabled for those customers in an on-premise environment as well. And so these are all fully released in production. So with that, I will go ahead and end the call, go straight back into my banking app.
Awesome. So good example of things that you can do right now, scenarios you can pull together and sort of light up for your organization. So the next question becomes, what's next? How does this all stuff start to come together? So really, as we start to think about this, the key thing is to come back to the announcements from yesterday and just to sort of recap how we're thinking about this. Today in Office 365, our communications capabilities are consisting of services that are supporting both Skype for Business and Teams. And we obviously continue to have a Skype for Business server presence. As we look forward, the discussions that we've talked about here are that we will be integrating all of the capabilities of Skype for Business into Teams, really bringing these together. We'll continue to sell Skype for Business online, and we'll have a new version of the server that will be released at the end of 2018. So we're very committed to Skype for Business as a product, but we also see that these capabilities come together to really fit into more of a holistic experience around Office and Office 365. So as we think about that communications experience for Office 365, we see Teams as the hub for that, and we see that powered by a next generation set of services that we've been building through Skype that allow us to actually do a significant level of scale, reliability, secure, all of the sort of pieces that you would need and expect out of Office 365, and being able to deliver all of those directly to you through Teams as the hub. So we continue to be committed to these things. We're very much committed to our cloud voice business, and you will continue to see us, as we talked about yesterday, whether it's conferencing, whether it's our phone system assets. We will continue to maintain those assets, and obviously those will transition automatically over as you're adopting Teams. So the ability to do phone calls, get numbers, all those things will continue to be present and available for you. And most importantly, as we think about the value of the ecosystem for Skype for Business, we're bringing that over to Teams as well. So you will maintain your investments as you're transitioning and taking on the benefits that come with Teams in that model. Now, the question then becomes, what does this mean for me as a developer or me as somebody that's thinking about solutions in Office 365? We've been talking about the Office 365 platform over the last 5 or 6 months, starting at build. One of the key things to recognize with the Office 365 platform is that it really is formed of 3 core areas. One is a core set of Office canvases for a variety of core domains like documents, pages, and conversations as a key version of that. And you can see that we have a core set of experiences around Outlook and Teams as hubs for conversations. Now, as we think about how that platform applies to conversations then, we're going back to that sort of core concepts that I talked about at the beginning, which is that, hey, we think about how you can connect your conversations and your services to our conversations using Teams as a hub. So that's an important set of assets to be thinking about. How can I bring my app into Teams and bring that context and that communications together? The second is we very much believe that the ability to embed your conversations into your app and your experience through those canvases, and you see this today through things like the Web SDK and the conversation control that we have there. But for other domains like documents, you can see this with my ability, for example, to incorporate documents and the document viewers directly into my web pages. So this ability to embed these canvases around conversations we think is very, very important. Probably the most transformative, though, out of all of these assets is really the role that we see for graph and for intelligence as these things come forward. And so today, if you think about graph, if you've used anything of graph in the last year and a half or so, you see graph as very much a data repository. It's a connected set of data and properties that I'm sort of collecting across all of my organization information, but it's very much a query system. As we move forward, though, we really want you to think about graph as actually the Microsoft API. We want you to think about that as the consistent way that you interact with our developer platform and our services there. And so as we get to that, then it becomes an important facet for how we move communications forward and how we see communications being exposed for Office. So let's just kind of jump in and talk about each of these big blocks for just a second. So today, we talked about what you have with Skype for Business as a client experience. And as you go to evaluate Teams, you'll have situations where you can, in fact, be running Teams and Skype for Business side by side. And at some point, you'll get to the point where you want to be able to say, Teams is my primary client asset. And so in the model of that, note then that we expect that it really will continue to connect to all the same peripherals, devices, phones, et cetera, except that as your Teams app comes in, there are 2 important changes. One, Teams is obviously talking to our modern set of next-gen communication services. And the application model with Teams is actually different. So as we think about Skype for Business, it's more about sort of how do I connect into Skype for Business sort of through cross-process externally. But Teams is really about, again, acting as that hub. So it's really about thinking about how do you build your Teams app and integrate your app into Teams so that you can take advantage of all of that context. Now, there's a bunch of capabilities that we're delivering in Teams today. For those of you, how many of you have actually used Teams in the last 6 months? Hopefully most of you. Yes, most of you. That's how we got to 125,000 organizations, was people using it. So in that respect, then, there are capabilities that are there today. So tabs is a horribly benign name for something that's actually really powerful, which is my ability to now start to bring the types of content and assets, Power BI and videos and et cetera, into the conversation context. Just the fact that we have a channel conversation and I can quickly bring a tab in that everybody can now start to reference. Super simple concept, but it's actually super powerful. It's been probably one of the biggest things that I've noticed in my own personal usage of Teams as well, is that that just becomes super useful. Bots and connectors are something we've been talking about, but I think as you start to see that surface in channels, with context, with the apps, with tabs, you really start to get to a more sort of broad concept that we think of as an app for Teams, where that app includes not just these capabilities, but then as we look forward, actually extending these concepts and these capabilities to now include things like actionable messages and having your app be able to actually drive content into the activity feed, or being able to actually do extensions and thinking about how I'm using that command line sort of model to be able to quickly get to applications, get to data, and to inject that into those conversations. And then to be able to do all of that and do it for both my packaged applications, so if you're an ISV and you're delivering a solution externally, be able to do that, and then also being able to do side loading and having a model for effectively tenantized apps or internal line of business apps that you can deliver. So the app model for Teams is getting much more robust and is actually going to be a key facet of how you can now start to take advantage of Teams as that hub. Now, as you look through this, though, it does actually bring in some interesting developer considerations as you guys are thinking about the solution model and designing these pieces. So one is, you know, as you think about this context, what would you do with all of that context, and what kind of context do you want to bring into the model? The second is that if you've done any sort of work with the Skype for Business client, you're kind of used to the Skype for Business client acting as effectively your proxy for all of this sort of complex SIP traffic. And as you sort of look forward, we want you to start thinking less about the client as their proxy and more about, hey, I'm driving some automation in the client, and so we are looking at how you can expose calling behaviors now to your bots and apps inside of Teams. And then when you want to interact with the service, go interact with the service directly. Don't think about having to try and sort of go through the client just to interact with the service. The sort of next piece there I think is going to be important is you think about sort of IT managed versus user managed integrations. So Teams, part of what makes Teams really valuable is that it's allowing users to effectively self-organize, right? They can create their teams as they come in, they can add people, they can set their roles for members and owners, and that's an incredibly powerful sort of concept not to lose sight of. There are also cases, though, where you want to be able to kind of put some guide rails on that sort of self-organization. So you want to be able to know, okay, well, who would I want to allow be able to create teams or channels or whatnot? The same thing applies to apps as well. So my ability to decide when will I let anybody basically install an app into a team versus when do I want to stipulate something as a default or only available to a certain set of people. So those types of controls and how you want your app to act is an important sort of consideration as you're working through that. And then the last piece, I think, on the Teams client side is that these are capabilities that you have available to you right now. So as we've been talking about both yesterday and you'll hear us talk about going forward, the best thing that you can do is to start working with Teams right now and to just start to iterate. Start to see how that model plays into your solution. Start to think about how it comes together for that type of experience that you're going for. So that's on the client canvas side. Teams as a hub, super important. Now, the other place that we've been investing quite a bit of time on over the last year and a half or so is around how do these communication services start getting access directly? And so one of the key things that we're looking forward to is as we think about our communication services and the framework for this, we really think about it as sort of 4 key value propositions. One of those is around programmable voice and video. The second is around intelligent messaging. The third is around sharing in meetings. And the fourth is around analytics and insight. Now, these are all sort of connective tissue to be able to design to sort of work together to help you deliver the right sort of transformation, right? So we're all about digital transformation here. And the question is how do you start to bring these capabilities together to actually sort of drive some new scenarios for yourself? Now, the assets that we're going to be in the approach that we're going to be taking as we sort of push through this then is consistent with how we're thinking about graph. And so, as I talked about earlier, that graph, I want you to start thinking about it more as the Microsoft API and less as just a strict data repository. And so as we think about graph and we think about communication services, our target is to be able to now actually start exposing these communication workloads through graph natively. Now, this will involve some enhancements to graph and some things that we're doing, but the idea is to take a very sort of workload-based approach. So you as a developer will have a set of capabilities that are leveraged with graph and then being able to now expose and work across sort of the broad network that we provide with Office 365. And we're committed to doing this on a cross-platform basis. And so the ability for you to build cross-platform clients, whether it's for iOS or Android or Windows, or the ability for you to build service experiences that can work for both managed and non-Windows stacks, we think is very, very important. The last piece that we think is very crucial here is that continuing to maintain the integrated Office 365 experience for how you manage and put all these solutions together. So this framework will provide and drive a lot of the work that we're going to be doing in the coming months to bring these communication services to bear. The last piece to sort of focus on here then is that when we think about sort of that insights model, I just want to sort of pause for a moment on this notion around intelligence and insights and how communications will start to shift the way that you're thinking about what's in graph. So today, graph is people and documents and some insights. But as you bring communications into that and you start thinking about how does that context around that communication start to augment what's in graph so that I know not only that we had a conversation, but when we had the conversation and what that conversation was about, that now starts to become very powerful when you start to combine that with things like transcripts of conversations. So for example, we've shown you having a meeting. We've shown you having a meeting with captions, and we've shown you having that meeting with captions with a video recording, and with that video recording having transcript of those speakers. Now you know what they were talking about, who was talking about, what they said, when they said it, what time they said it, who else was in the room when they said it, and putting all that together now starts to unlock some pretty amazing awareness about the what and the why and the how. So as we think about how you put all these pieces together, and then recognize that as you bring communications in, you're bringing in not just internal communications, but external communications. Now you start to get to some pretty powerful concepts where you're actually able to now bring all of your interactions and your engagement information now together with the rest of your business data. You start to bring this together with the rest of the Dynamics graph and the LinkedIn graph, and you get to some pretty interesting ideas. So I want to encourage those ideas as we're putting these things together, because really this is, I think, going to be a rich area of innovation and opportunity for you as both solution developers and for your organizations and your business process. Now, there's two areas that we want to drill in specifically for the rest of the session. One is around intelligent messaging, and the second will be around programmable voice and video. And so with intelligent messaging, just to kind of level set here real quick, we've talked about a number of things over the last year. We've talked about bots, we've talked about digital agents like Cortana. There is a spectrum of capabilities here, so just recognize that when we talk about bots, we will use that term primarily for sort of more task-driven completion, primarily with interactions with users. There are things that are really more trusted services, where you think about like recording and other pieces that are, I'll call them more services, although they might be implemented as bots. And then there are things like digital agents like Cortana that are really more agents, although they might be also implemented as bots and more conversational. So just recognize that there is kind of that spectrum there. And then as part of the work that we've been doing and landing with Teams as a hub, that ability to sort of support connectors, for example, in actionable messages, these are things you can do today. And as you look forward with bots, bots obviously provide a whole rich canvas for interactivity and content that you can now start to bring into Teams. At Build, earlier this year, we actually talked about the fact that we had, for Bot Framework, an existing Skype channel. We actually released a Teams channel for Bot Framework, and we also announced a Skype for Business channel for Bot Framework. And so your question might be, why do I need all three? Am I going to need all three forever? Should I just use one? What is the behavior here? And to recognize the piece to cover here is that each of these channels targets a different type of audience. So Skype channel allows me to publish my bot to external consumers. The Teams channel allows me to publish my bot to Teams users, which will obviously continue to expand and grow, but is a very particular experience. It's very rich, it's very full fidelity. The Skype for Business channel allows me to actually interact with all of my existing Skype for Business users in their clients today. And it also actually opens up some new capabilities that we'll show in just a minute around the ability to actually access my on-prem Skype for Business users that have been connected actually through federation. So that ability to have that sort of hybrid model and be able to address the wide variety of those client endpoints we think becomes actually very impactful. So to give you a flavor of this, we're going to talk through a quick demo in terms of how we can now start to connect all these pieces together. So I'll hand it over to David.
Great. Thanks, Andy. So we're going to dive a little bit in a quick demo here looking at the Microsoft Bot Framework. And like Andy mentioned, we'll focus on how you can use that framework to actually enable bots across multiple different channels with a single set of code. So I'm going to jump over here in my web browser, and we're going to go take a look at a bot that I have set up here. In our session later today at 4:30, we're going to dive into some more detail of how to go from 0 to creating a single bot for Teams, Skype for Business Online, and Skype for Business server in a hybrid setup. But here I've kind of preset this bot up. This is just a screen from the Microsoft Bot Framework. The framework allows you to write a single set of code with the Bot Builder SDK and then be able to enable multiple channels for that single set of code. And so you can see here, we're set up in our channel page. I use the Azure Bot Service to actually go and create this bot. Azure Bot Service actually lets you create some bot templates without actually needing to write any code. So one particular bot that I set up here uses something called the Q&A maker to be able to create a question and answer response bot for multiple channels without having to actually write any code. You can, of course, dive into the code here, and it is available, and it's deployed, but the Azure Bot Service packages that up and makes it really easy within 5 minutes to go and just deploy a bot for multiple channels. So what I did is I actually set up using this Q&A maker template, and I'm going to go jump over to this Q&A maker service just to give you an idea of this setup, and we'll go in more detail this afternoon. What I'm going to show is here I created some test Q&A services. We'll go take a look at what that actually is. All I really did was, if you look at the settings here in Q&A, this service just takes a URL or a set of question and answers that you already have in your organization and actually parses those questions and builds them into the framework with some of our language understanding services. So you can see here, I actually just added this URL here to the frequently asked questions page that we have for the journey from Skype for Business to Microsoft Teams. So probably some relevant questions for folks in the room. So you can see this is just a web page. It has some questions in the page, some answers. When we go look at the Q&A maker, all this really does is parse that URL and pull out some questions that are on that page and applicable answers. It's really a convenient way to create a set of common question and answers if you're, for example, creating a Q&A bot for your organization. I can, of course, go in here and I can add new Q&A pairs that I want to add in here. So I'll say, if I say, how are you? I'll put in an answer here and say, I'm great, just at Microsoft Ignite. And I'll go and save this, retrain our service, and then what we'll do is actually publish this. So if I go and do publish, it's going to say I've got a new question that I've added, and I'll go and click publish, and now we have that service available. What we actually did is when we did the template setup here in the Azure Bot Service, we actually linked those two together. I'm going to show that again in our session in the afternoon. We don't want to spend too much time now. Key point here is that we actually enabled multiple channels here. We're excited that this week we actually launched in public preview our Skype for Business channel for hybrid environments for Skype for Business Server. What that means is the same bot that you now enabled for Microsoft Teams, Skype for Business Online customers in Office 365, you can also enable for Skype for Business Server customers that have enabled AD DirSync to AAD. So as long as they've actually enabled that hybrid connectivity, which many of our customers have who have an on-prem deployment and are leveraging cloud services, as long as they have that DirSync actually set up, we've now released on MSDN our documentation on how to actually enable this for hybrid customer support. So maybe customers that have some customers in on-prem server, maybe some users in Skype for Business Online, or just want to enable cloud bots together for their on-prem users, they can actually now go and enable that through the Skype for Business channel. So there's some steps here. Bots are enabled by tenant administrators in a Skype for Business environment. The way that this works now in hybrid is you actually, again, there's a set of commandlets for the tenant admin to be able to manage these bots. He will actually create this bot object in his hybrid environment. And actually, the additional step that he needs, if there is a hybrid setup or an on-prem server in play, is there's just one additional commandlet to run in the on-prem environment. That will create that object in on-premises so that an on-prem user can actually now message a bot that's built through the Microsoft Bot Framework. So pretty powerful framework here, especially as we talk about our journey with Teams, because if we go back and take a look here, this particular Ignite frequently asked question bot, what I'll do is I'll show you first what this looks like through Microsoft Teams. So because I enabled that channel, I can actually go over my Teams client here. And if we go to my chats, what I can do is there's a way in Teams, if you're a developer, before you've actually side-loaded the bot or submitted it to an app store, you can actually reach out to the bot directly just by using that app ID within the client. So this is going to go find that bot, which was registered for the Teams channel. And then I can select it, so you can see this is my Ignite frequently asked questions bot. And you see I already had a conversation with it earlier. I asked him some questions, so let's go say hi, and we should get a response. If you remember what we set up in the Q&A, the response to this service should actually be hello. So if we go and look what I had configured here in Q&A, and we go back to the service, and we see there's a bit of delay for the first message. But you can see hi, expected response is hello. Let's actually try how are you, the command that we actually just added and just deployed. Great, so it's responding correctly. The powerful part about this framework is that because we now parse these question and answers from the website, we can go through here. Let's see, we've got a bunch of questions here. You can see there's a scheduled upgrade question. So I'm going to go into Teams. I actually don't have to ask that question exactly as it's framed within that Q&A maker. Our language understanding service is actually built into that framework, which you can leverage for your bots. So I can say, what about scheduled upgrades? And this language understanding service will parse my intent based off of the question and return the relevant answer based off of a confidence score based off of the question it believes I'm looking for an answer for. So you can see that's some of the capabilities, and now I've exposed this in Microsoft Teams. The cool part is that because I enabled this for multiple channels, I can also now enable this for Skype for Business on-prem users. So if I go over here, I actually just set this up earlier today. I added the Skype for Business channel. I set this up in my hybrid tenant. The name actually takes a few hours to sync from Office 365 directory, so it would have a friendly name here. But I can go here and now message that same bot through Skype for Business client, and I can get a response. And in the same way we asked about scheduled upgrades, I'll say, how about scheduled upgrades? And comes back with the answer that we had through that Q&A framework. So currently no plans for scheduled upgrades. Customers can choose to adopt Microsoft Teams as the capabilities meet their business needs. So that was the answer that we had in the framework. So really this is just trying to show that for intelligent messaging capability, Bot Framework provides a lot of value, and the ability for a developer to write a solution once and be able to enable it for multiple channels. As customers are going along with us in the journey into Microsoft Teams, this will be absolutely important to be able to enable different types of environments for users that may still be on Skype for Business Server or may be adopting Teams for some of their newer cloud workloads. So with that, let's jump back over into the slides. I'm going to grab this. So that was a little bit around intelligent messaging capabilities through Bot Framework. We do want to spend some time in this session as well, focused on how we're bringing our programmable voice and video workloads into our new next generation Skype infrastructure. So as Andy mentioned, we walked through some of the scenarios that are important to customers and partner solutions. You saw that many of those are around how they use custom solutions for voice as well as video. And so as we evolve our story and our platform, we're thinking about our programmable voice and video. And I do want to just spend a few minutes and go over what do we actually mean by programmable voice and video. So some of these scenarios, if you're familiar with Skype for Business Server development today, are enabled through a platform we call UCMA, Unified Communications Managed API, that allows you to build some trusted scenarios where you're handling calls, you're handling meetings flows, and you're able to build enterprise scenarios like IVR, interactive voice response, like recording solutions, like advanced call routing, being able to interact with meetings and do different complex scenarios. As we move forward our programmable voice and video components into our new next generation set of services, we're really going to be focused on how we can bring additional intelligence and capability into those interactions. So when we look at programmable voice as a workload, as a developer set of capability, we'll of course be focused, the first two buckets are obviously key for any of these solutions, being able to have call control in the set of these interactions. Being able to control these interactions in a trusted way as a service is something that's a key priority for us. Being able to interact with media, whether that's a model where you may need to get direct access to media streams directly in an interaction, or you need to do something like play a prompt, for example, in an interactive voice response workload. We also want to make sure that you can expose these across the networks that we expose as a part of Skype for Business and Teams. And then, of course, the key point here is that one transition we're making is we're focusing on intelligent communications. How can we enable new scenarios that expose things like cognitive services, like our translation, transcription, speech services that are all available through our Azure Cognitive Services? How do we link those even closer to our developer capabilities? And so this is really a general focus for us. In terms of voice and video, I do want to call out there actually are some existing assets today that we have in the Skype calling platform. Has anybody worked with the Skype consumer calling platform? Maybe a couple. These are capabilities we actually we announced, I think, 2 builds ago, and we released some new capabilities at Microsoft Build this year. These capabilities were actually focused on Skype Consumer and how we actually expose calling APIs and capabilities, as well as direct media bots for building video bots directly in Consumer. And so these are pretty powerful scenarios, and we've seen some usage of this in the Skype Consumer space today through the Skype client that expose some of these calling capabilities. The reason we're calling this out, and I do want to talk about the different scenarios, is because we're actually evolving that platform for our new enterprise Skype backend. The scenarios that you can enable today through that Skype consumer platform, I want to spend some minutes, as it sounds like not a lot of folks have knowledge of what's there today. I do want to talk through the different set of capabilities as we're evolving these and bringing these forward for our Teams services backend. So the 2 major categories that we enable through that Skype calling platform today, I bucket them generally into a category we call our local media scenarios. Scenarios where you're building a bot or service that actually needs to get direct access to media frames inside a meeting or voice interaction. This is enabled and called our real-time media SDK, which we released for Skype Consumer. There's a set of scenarios that you can enable there today that allow you to actually access those media streams directly and do scenarios like adding cognitive services, speech recognition, actually getting direct access to individual frames and interactions, so you can do services like recording, injecting media into an interaction, being able to do video bot scenarios where you can interact with a user or have video flowing from a bot into a meeting. It's a set of powerful scenarios that are there today, released for Skype Consumer. The other side is more around how you can enable voice workloads and voice interactions. So being able to build an interactive voice response bot, for example, being able to do things like playing prompts, doing DTMF tone recognition, being able to do basic recording in a call center type scenario. We have actually released in Skype Consumer some of those capabilities that lets you actually build some basic IVR components. The background and the reason we're diving into this is because we are actually evolving these capabilities and bringing these into our enterprise space through the Microsoft Graph API. So this is talking a bit about our vision and where we're going in the roadmap, is that we're actually bringing those capabilities that I just talked through and bringing those into the enterprise through Microsoft Graph. We're going to be focused on bringing that programmable voice and video, those key pillars that I walked through, bringing those into the enterprise space built on our new enterprise Skype backend. We'll be extending those categories to enterprise features that are not available today on the consumer side of things. And so one of our focuses will be bringing forward that programmable voice, adding features like being able to assign PSTN phone numbers to endpoints, being able to do advanced call routing scenarios through the platform, so that we can enable that same set of scenarios that we've today enabled through the Skype for Business platform against our new evolved set of APIs. One of the example capabilities there is, again, how we think about IT-managed applications and application endpoints for specific tenants. And so today, you may be familiar with the platform. We do use Azure Active Directory for application management. We provide the ability to actually create endpoints that are specific for customers. And why are they specific? These specific endpoints actually have particular attributes that may attribute them to a particular tenant. So being able to do things like, can I assign a PSTN phone number to my calling bot? Can I assign an identity to that calling bot that's within that tenant? For example, a help desk service. Those are things that we are bringing to our next generation platform that allow you to build these types of trusted services that can be tenant specific. So being able to have an infrastructure in place to create a multi-tenant application that you can enable for multiple customers and create specific application endpoints and trusted phone number endpoints for these voice apps within the context of a specific tenant. So that, again, one example of what we're bringing forward on that platform. So I do want to actually now showcase how this is real. We've talked through a lot of this. We're going to show you some bleeding edge demos of some of these capabilities that we're bringing to our Evolve platform. And so we're going to jump over to my machine. There we go, and we can see that. So we're gonna cover some of these capabilities in more detail in our session at 4:30 in the afternoon today. But today we just want to end this session and walk through some of the specific demos. The first that we're going to look through is the voice app capability, the ability to now have voice bot services that you can expose in Microsoft Teams and over the PSTN network. So we're going to show you some early demos. Again, bear with us here. These are some early things that are not yet available, but we do want to share them with you so you have an idea of where we're going from a capabilities perspective. First demo we're going to show is a basic IVR type functionality, the ability to actually have a calling bot exposed in Teams and be able to have users that can actually call that bot built through our communication services platform, have an interaction with that bot, and be able to actually real-time transfer that bot to an agent in Teams. So what I'm going to do, make sure I'm connected to audio here so you can hear that. And I've got this test bot created, this text bot. What we're going to do is we'll actually just call the bot directly from my Teams client.
Welcome to the fake call center. Please hold while we are transferring your call to the next available agent.
And we're getting transferred over to Shri, who happens to be our agent today. And Shri is able to answer that call, take the call. Now we're connected on Teams. So pretty basic scenario, but this is the building block for how we build richer, complex enterprise scenarios in these customer engagement type interactions. So what we did, and through this is real code working through our new services platform, is the ability to accept that call as a calling endpoint, being able to play a prompt directly to the user, and then being able to do different types of transfers, whether it's a blind transfer, consultative transfer, that are needed for these types of calling interactions. This is the same platform if you're familiar with our call queues and organizational auto attendant services. We actually build our own first-party voice services on this platform as well. So we're bringing those services forward to this platform, and we're also giving you as developers opportunity to access these capabilities. So this was our voice interaction. I'm going to go ahead and end the call. And what we'll do is we'll actually now show our second demo. So the second demo is really showing one of our meetings bot scenarios. And so this is just, again, a Teams channel. I have a meeting here. We can see in this meeting, I actually have now one of these communication services bots actually already joined into the meeting. In this case, we're now going to demonstrate the capabilities of what we call a local media bot. So I talked about those two general categories. What a local media bot means is that your bot service can actually have interactions in Teams and join meetings and get direct access to media frames and capabilities. Not only reading media frames, but also injecting media frames directly into a conference. So if I go ahead and I go and join, and I'm actually going to use my headset here, which will help for a demo. So I'm going to make sure we're connected. I'm going to go ahead and join this interaction. We see we have a couple participants already. So I'm getting now connected through video. So once I join, I'm actually going to start my video. And here we go. Now we're connected. And Shri, I don't know if you want to start your video as well. So we have a couple video feeds in their interaction. You can see now we have this bot actually joined directly into this meeting interaction. What this bot is actually doing now is, because it's a participant in this conference, it's actually getting direct access to the media streams of the users within the conference. And so you can see I have Shri joined as well. This bot, what we'll show is hopefully in a second, we've actually programmed this bot to both read my active speaker video stream, as well as play back a video stream of an active speaker once it's actually reading that. So in a second, we should hopefully see some video actually playing back through this bot user. And Andy's gonna, so we got another participant. We've got Andy joined as well in this Teams meeting. And there we go. So now we're seeing some video that the bot is actually playing back, and you can see it's actually captured Andy's video, not mine. But we should be able to, yeah, we might not be able to show that. So we actually integrated, I don't know if we're going to be able to show this. We'll try this again later in our next session. But the bot can actually play back, is editing those video frames, playing them back into the meeting. We actually integrated cognitive services directly in the interaction, so that if I give a command to this meeting bot, it will actually edit the video feed in real time and inject that directly back in the meeting. Other thing that I want to show that I'll show really quickly is I mentioned the bot does have interaction to the media directly through this conference. And so if we go and take a look, we actually enabled, through our cognitive services, real-time transcription of the audio as a part of this conference interaction. So I'm going to actually just go over here to my code, and I'm going to just make a call to a controller that we set up. You can see this is just an Azure cloud service. I'm going to go send a call to our controller. It's going to show me, again, this is just some code in our demo app. It's going to give me a link to the transcription of this interaction. I'm going to go copy, paste this, and we'll go into a web browser. And we'll go and take a look. You can see here that as a bot, a part of this interaction, actually got access to the audio streams, and using cognitive services, it's actually been taking a real-time transcription of the entire interaction. If I scroll down, you can see the transcription in real time. And that was, I'll make this larger for you. Testing out the transcription. Let's try that again. There you go. So this is just using, again, the open cognitive services APIs. This is a direct meeting join bot. In our session in the afternoon, we're going to go in a lot more detail of what that actually means from a developer perspective. But we generally believe that there's a lot of different scenarios that we can now enable through this type of interaction. Both scenarios where you may want to just use the platform for signaling and have the service actually handle the media directly, or local media scenarios like you saw here where you may need to get direct access to those media streams. So again, this is an early kind of bleeding edge demo that you're seeing, but this is the direction that we're going in terms of bringing our programmable voice and video functionality into our next generation set of Skype services, and being able to more natively work with some of the intelligence services. So we're really excited about the new set of capabilities that developers are going to have on this platform, and the new extensions that you can actually bring to both calling and video interactions. And so let's jump back over to the slides.
Excellent. Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So we've got about 15 minutes left, and so with that, we wanted to kind of make sure we could kind of wrap up and then cover any questions. Hopefully you've been able to see both what we have available today as well as the direction that we're going from a core communications platform perspective. And in terms of follow-up, again, getting started with both of these assets I think is going to be very crucial and informative. And so whether it's getting started on the Teams app platform, there are a number of sessions this week that will help sort of provide more color on how to build apps and drive that integration with Teams. Thinking about the Skype for Business channel and the Teams channel for your bot framework projects. I encourage you, if you've got Skype for Business Server, to take a look at the hybrid support that we've just made available for developer preview. And then obviously we have our developer portals available for Teams and for Skype as part of dev.office.com. And there's a whole bunch of content that we've been delivering over the last 5 months or so with regards to the Build Conference and Channel Live. And so I encourage you to check those out, as well as the other sessions here at Ignite. So with that, happy to take any questions if you have them, if you want to cover them now, or we can talk about some offline as well. Any questions? Okay. Well, with that, appreciate your time. Definitely always look at the feedback, and hope you guys have a great rest of the conference. Thank you.